about a few activities, which includes until activity, validation activity, delete activity, and we just started a discussion on get metadata activity. So get metadata activity is something which will get the metadata about your file or table. Okay, so yesterday we just started and we have seen whether the file or table exists and what are the column count or columns, and then what is the schema. So such kind of details we were able to extract by using this get metadata activity. Maybe we'll see few other options with the get metadata activity, and then we will move on to filter activity. Okay, so let me go to data factories. Yeah, just see the difference between get metadata activity and lookup activity. So get metadata activity, it will extract metadata information. Okay, it will not touch your actual data. But lookup activity, it will extract the data from your file or table. Okay, so just remember that difference. So let me go here into pipelines and this one and get metadata activity. So yesterday we just created this, and we were able to extract the data, metadata from a particular table or file. Okay, so DB table, I have seen exists, column count, structure. So likewise, we will be having only particular attributes related to your table. Okay, so column count, structure. And if you want something extra, maybe you can use this and you can write your own code. Okay, so that is add dynamic content. So coming to the file, right? Suppose I am taking this directory one, and suppose I want to look at this child items. So we know that what is item name, last modified exists. So all these things are something like item type when we say whether it is a directory or file. Okay, item name, what is your folder name or file name. Okay, it exists, it will tell you whether that particular file exists or not. When I select this child items, right? So this will give you, and you know that I'm using this, suppose input facts. Okay, so this is the directory I'm using as data set. Okay, and I'm using inside my get metadata activity. So when I use that directory and when I look for child items, right? So it will tell you what are all the available files in that particular directory. So that is child items. Okay, so let me execute this so that you'll get to know what are all the files inside your directory. Suppose I'm going here and I'm opening storage account. We just need to cross check, right? So data storage containers, and your container name, and then input, maybe so it's just false. It's not there. Actually, we have removed that yesterday. So that is the reason we are not able to see that, and it is saying false, right? So let us see this dim. Okay, and let us use this dim here. So instead of facts, right? So let us use dim directory instead of facts, so that I can be able to extract the child items from that particular dim directory. Child items are nothing but what are all the files inside your directory, right? So all this list will come to this place. Okay, and what is the significance of this? Let us discuss in a few minutes. We'll take some scenario, yesterday's scenario, and we'll see how we can use this as part of use case. Okay, so now it got success. And if I see now, exists true, it is available. And child items are something xlsx, emp, job, market. So likewise, I'm having some data. Okay, so the same thing I'll get over here. Okay, so that's how you can be able to get child items by using this get metadata activity along with other arguments. Okay, so that is about get metadata activity. And if you want to maybe do something, right, you can be able to write again start date, end date. So all those things you can be able to manipulate over here. Okay, and skip line count is something if you want to skip before getting the output, then you can do that. So it's not much required. I'm just telling you that. Okay, so that is about get metadata activity. And coming to the next activity, filter activity. Filter activity is something you have some list. Okay, so out of that list, you want to filter your required part. So if that is the case, then we'll be using this filter activity. And if you guys are already working and if you compare with your existing technologies, okay, if you are working in data warehousing tools or some Java, Python, and don't compare this filter activity with your filter functionality. So filter functionality in the sense, suppose you are suppose you have some file customer.txt file. So inside this I'm having customer id, customer name, something region. So likewise, right? So if you have some 1 million records and I want to filter the records which are equals to region equal to something epac. Okay, so this is the actual filter, data filter. So this is data filter on your file. Okay, so inside the file, you are looking for some filter condition and the records which are matching with this particular condition, region equal to epoch, those records will come out of your filter. Okay, so that is our data filter. But this filter activity, right? So it is not data filter. It is filtering on some list. Suppose you have some list. Okay, so let us see the example itself. Okay, I'm going here. I'm creating one filter activity. Don't worry, we will use this as well in our use case. Filter. Okay, so assume that I'm having some list and out of it, I want to filter out something. Okay, so that you need to write over here. So what is our list? What is our items? So that you have to specify input array and which filter should be applied. So on which array you want to apply your filter, that total list you have to specify in these items and your condition. What is your expectation? Condition to be used for filtering the input. So in this list, what is your expected output? So that you will be writing inside this condition. So to do that, right, maybe just to practice this filter, I'm writing some simple example. Okay, so that we will understand what is the filter activity functionality. With that, we'll move on to use case, and there we'll be using get metadata activity, filter activity, all we'll be using as part of that particular use case. So that time you will understand how to use and where to use as part of your use cases. Okay, so here I'm just creating one array. Okay, so why? Because items, it always expects array, and maybe here I'm writing mango, banana, grapes, something like this. So this is my fruits array. So inside items, what I'm expecting is I want to use this particular list. Okay. So that I can be able to get it since I've created variables. I just call that particular fruits variable so that my items will be holding the values of mango, banana, and grapes. So out of this, I'm interested only few. Okay, I want to get only if it contains suppose banana. Okay, I'm interested if it is banana only. So in that case, you can be able to write that logic condition over here. Okay, so how do you write that? Maybe item. So item in the sense this one. Okay, item, and then maybe I'll say banana. So these two things, right? I know that this is total list and this is what I'm expecting. So simply you can say contains item. If item contains banana, that is my condition. So simply you can read something like that. Okay. So that's how you can be able to write your logic. So I'm just executing it. So out of this, right? So out of three, mango, banana, and grapes, I'm expecting only one. That is banana. Why do we need to use this? Maybe just by looking at this, right? You will not get the actual use case scenario, but let us discuss and you'll get to know where exactly we can be able to use that. So if you see here, right, items count is three, actual count is three, but the filtered items count is one. Only one you got as output from your filter. So that is how, if you have some list, and out of that particular list, if you are expecting something, so those things will be filtered out and you can be considered from this particular filter. So that is about filter. Okay, so let me publish this, and then I'll start uh, explaining you that use case, whatever we have seen yesterday. Okay, so any questions for me before jumping into this? Suppose I have a directory. Okay, so this is actual business use case. Even in your real time, you'll see such kind of use cases. Suppose I have a directory, and inside the directory, I'm having some list of files. Maybe it is 10 files, 100 files, 1,000 files. You have some list of files. So out of that particular list of files, okay, I want to consider few files. Okay, maybe the files which are ending with .csv or some criteria, whatever the criteria. I want to consider only the files which are ending with .csv. Okay, and then I need to check whether I need to copy this particular file into table. Okay, so this file is in ADLS. Okay, so I want to take that particular file, suppose file dot CSV. I want to take this file and I want to load into table. So maybe table is something instead of file, maybe assume that it is customer.csv, and I want to load that particular file into customer table. And suppose I'm having something product.csv file, and this product.csv file I want to load into product table. Okay, so if I have five files, something like this, I want to consider those five files, and the corresponding .csv file I want to load into corresponding table, product into product. Maybe if I have something region.csv, I want to load that into region. Okay, something like that. So once it is successful, once the copy is done, I want to delete those files. So these files I don't want to maintain in my ADLS. So instead, I want to delete those files. So this is the basic use case. Okay, so the what I could say, the base use case, what you need to do. So out of this, right, maybe you need to add few concepts while working on your actual design. Okay, so this is the actual use case. Any questions for me for this requirement? Do you understand what I mean? I'm just going here. I'm just taking the same example. So maybe input dimension. So inside this, I'm having pub.xlsx, emp.txt, job.txt, market.txt, something like this, right? So out of this, I want to consider the files which are ending with .txt, emp.txt, job.txt, others.txt. I don't want to consider this. Okay, I am just looking for this .txt files, and once I consider those three files out of these six files, I want to load emp.txt data into emp table, job.txt into job table, artist.txt into artist table. So that is our ultimate goal. Maybe in between, we have to do something to achieve this. Okay, so let us start. So first and foremost thing, how to implement this? Maybe it's not only for this use case. In regular, right? Maybe whether you are working in any technology, it's not only ADF. So first and foremost thing is you have to create your algorithm. So make it as a practice so that you'll be very you feel very easy while writing your code. So first build the algorithm, meaning how are you going to achieve this use case. Maybe we have already done for this particular use case. You have a directory, and I need to extract the list of 10 files, and I need to consider for the files which are ending with .csv. And once I get the list, I need to copy with the same name. I want to derive this particular derive table name from each file. So that means if it is customer.csv, the table name should be customer. If it is product.csv, table name should be product. So likewise, you need to derive the table name from each file, and then we need to copy that into table. And once it is successful, we need to do that. So that's what your algorithm is. So once that algorithm is done, your high level design is done, then how are you going to achieve this in your technology? If it is Python, Python. If it is Java, Java. If it is Ab initio, Ab initio. So likewise. So in this case, right, how do you get this list? Uh, can you tell me? I have a directory and I want to list out. I want to list out all these files in ADF. Okay, so we just discussed that is get metadata activity. So using get metadata activity, you can be able to do this. I'm going to do one by one. I don't want to design or code at stretch. Okay, at a stretch. So I'll be doing this step-by-step process. I'm going to ADF, and maybe let me create one pipeline. Copy files, maybe use case. I just gave some name. Okay, I'm just closing this. Okay, and I'll be using get metadata activity. So my first and foremost step is I want to list out all the files in a particular directory. Maybe if you want to parameterize the directory, we can parameterize inside that particular data set. Okay, or you can directly use that. Maybe I'm using this directory dataset, which is talking about my container and input inside input folder. I'm having this. I'm having this dim folder. So this is the directory what I'm looking for. So that is the reason I'm just using this. So as I mentioned that if you want to parameterize, you can parameterize and use that. Okay. So I'm just using the same thing, and I'm trying to get child items. Why? Because I want to see the file list, what are the files inside that particular directory. So all these list I want to see, so that I'm using this one. Okay, so I'm just executing. So we'll see one by one, like once the output we see, right? So after that, what we need to perform, so that we'll see. Maybe this is how everybody do that while design or code. So I got my child items. So all these are my file list, what I got from my directory. So after this, what is your expectation? I want to see the data of the file names which are ending with .txt. So from this total list, I want to get only few file names. I want to see only this one, and this one. Okay, I don't want to see the file names which is not ending with .txt. So if that is the case, which activity you want to use? Filter activity. Simple, right? So virtually think and so that you can understand filter activity. So just connect this to this. Okay. So now what is items here? So what we need to provide as items here? So I know that I got my. Mhm. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, we need to filter out the file names, but filter condition we have to write. It has to end with .txt. So that is condition. But where do you want to see the data? Like what is your input to your filter? So the input should be the output of get metadata activity child items, right? So this one is my input to my filter. So from here, I want to filter out, right? So that's what you need to specify over here. So go to add dynamic content and activity outputs, get metadata activity child items. So simply just click on this. Okay. So that all the child items of the output of get metadata will be inputted to your filter. Okay. Now I got my information. So what information you got? Maybe let me copy this. Let me copy this and paste here. Okay, you got this child items. So child items are something, this one. Until this, your child items. Okay, so inside this child items, I'm having name type, name type, name type. So inside the child items, my name should end with .txt. So that is what my intention is. Okay, so if you want to write that logic, how do you want to write? So if I want to check whether A and B are equal or not. In ADF, we simply write this logic something like this: at the rate equals A comma B, or something like I have a list. So inside this list, whether I have a word, maybe as we seen, right, banana, whether this is available or not. Then inside ADF, we'll be writing the logic at the rate contains your list, comma, what is your expecting. Okay, so based on your logical expression, based on your condition, you have to use some function, and then you need to write that wherever it is applicable. Maybe in this case, in filter, we are applying that particular condition, we are able to get it. So now what is your condition here? So in this child items, in this name, I want to check whether that particular file name is ending with .txt. So if that is your case, right? So if you know, you can directly use it. Otherwise, just look for here, go here, content and functions, go to functions. And so here you'll be having collection functions, so many functions. So the comparison, so this comparison, where do you get that comparison? Maybe that comparison you can get it from logical functions. Okay. So inside the logical functions, just check all the functions available in your ADF. Don't buy hard. Okay. Don't never buy hard anything. Okay. So why? Because every day you need to learn. Every day technology is evolving. Okay. So if you stuck some point of time, that's all. So don't learn any technology vertically. Don't learn deeper and deeper. Just learn horizontally. Okay, so remember that word. So here I have functions like equals, if, and greater, greater or equals, less. So many things I have. Okay, I think it is okay. So it's not maybe not logical function. If you see here, right, ends with. So I want to check my name is ending with .txt or not. So if that is the case, you have to use this particular string function ends with. I'm just clicking on this ends with. There you have to specify where do you want to see whether my data is ending with .txt. So I know that items is my input. So filter one current item. Okay, so just click on this. So I'll be getting item. So what do you mean by item here? Your child items. Okay. So inside these child items, what you have name and type. You have things like name and type. So from the item, I want to consider name and I want to see whether it is ending with .txt. That's all. Okay. Ends with item.name.txt. Okay. So if you have a little bit of confusion and how to write and all right. So maybe you can just go to ChatGPT and ask it. Okay. So after that, try to understand. So don't blindly go to ChatGPT for everything and don't by heart, don't use it blindly. Okay. So here, yeah, what I need to do. Yep. So in filter, in ADF filter activity, I want to filter if my file names are ending with .txt. Can you help me with the code? So simply ends with item.name.txt. So that's what we have written. But if you don't understand this, right? So ask this particular one clearly. Can you explain this in detail? So it will tell you what is that item, what is that name, and what is that symbol. See, it is explaining the symbol as well. This is dynamic expression, and then ends with. So what is ends with, and what is item? So represents one element from the list you provided in items. So the filter activity processes items one by one. Item changes on every iteration. Okay, so that means from here, right? First time your item will be holding this information. For second time your item will be holding this one. Okay, so likewise your item will tell you that. Okay, so that we have seen in for each activity already. So the same concept here as well. So now I know I'm filtering only the file names which are ending with .txt. So that's all. I'm just executing this. So now after this, I'm expecting only the file names which are ending with .txt. Okay, so filter, if I see, I'm having count as 6. The filtered items count is only 3, which is ending with .txt. So I got my input. So whatever is required for me, I got those details, EMP, job, and orders. Okay, so let it be. So now what I need to do, uh, go back to your this one. So I got it right. So now what I need to do, I need to take each file and I need to copy that file into my target table. So consider I have a SQL database. Inside the SQL database, I want to go and I want to store this data into this particular table. So to do that, what could be the next activity? I want to perform this. If I have 3 files, I want to do that copy for 3 times. If it is 50 files, I want to perform that thing in 50 iterations, 50 times. So which activity do that for us for each activity? Okay, so I'm just connecting this. And what is the input to for each activity? So the output of filter activity, that could be the input to my for each activity. Okay, so what is the output of for each activity? Sorry, filter activity. It is something like um, for each activity value. So for that particular value, I'm having emp.txt, job.txt, something like that. Okay, so that you need to do that. Go here and from here, filter one activity output. Okay, maybe if you say only output, it will give you the total part, like it has a lot of things. But out of it, I'm just expecting value alone. Okay, so if you see here, I'm expecting this only. I'm not interested in these parts. I'm not interested in item count, filter. All those things are not required for me. I'm interested only in this part. Okay, so that is the reason I'm extracting only value. So that's how I have written over here. Okay, so let it be sequential. Why sequential? I'll tell you. Okay. Yeah. So this will execute 3 times. So how do you know whether it is executing 3 times or 4 times, or how do I know? Maybe for that, right? So just create a variable. Maybe I'll create file name as variable, and inside this, right, I'll be creating one activity, set variable activity, and I'll set my variable name to item dot. So what do you mean by item? Each time, okay, So let me go back to output and let me get the filter output so that we'll get to know. So this is my filter output, right? So inside this value, I know name type. So out of it, I want to extract name. I want to extract name and I want to put that into my variable. Okay, so that I can do something like name, item dot name. So that each time that file name will go and sit inside this particular file name. Okay, so we have to write a lot inside for each. So for now, just execute until this part and see. And as a layman, right, if you are a beginner in any programming language, do it one by one. It's not like don't do it at a stretch. If you are good and if you are expert, yes, you are good to design everything and execute everything. Okay, so if you are learner, do that one by one. So if you see for each is executing, so it got succeeded. Filter one, I'm having three file names and set variable. First time it is emp.txt and second time it should be job.txt and third time it is something orders.txt. Okay, so assume that it's a file name. Okay, so similarly, I want to set table name as well. So table name, I want to see the table name. So how do you want to see the table name? So the table name should be something like not orders.txt. I'm expecting only until orders. Why? Because I want to store this orders.txt into orders table. So same way jobs.txt into jobs table. Okay. So the table name is I'm just expecting only until this part, only until this part. Okay. So how do you do that? How do you do that in general? So generally, right, it is holding emp.txt or xyz.txt. So out of it, I'll be considering dot, before dot and after dot. After dot, I'm having extension and before dot, whatever I'm seeing, that is my table name. Okay, so how do you get this particular part? So generally, right, it is a function called split. Split is a function. Most of the programming languages, the function name is split. Even in Python, Java, everywhere I see the function name as split. So how do you write this particular split function? Split of your part. So what is this? Maybe from name, I want to split based on dot. So this is the syntax. Okay, so try to understand that. Split your name based on dot. So the output of this, right? So it will be something like this: emp, comma, txt. So if it is something split of um, abc dot name dot xyz dot txt. If it is something like this and I say dot, right? So this will give you abc, comma, name, comma, xyz, comma, txt. So that means from your string based on dot, it will split into multiple elements. So this is one element. Since I have dot here, another dot, this will be another element. This is third element and this is fourth element. So that is how you got this. And out of it, suppose I'm looking only for this particular ABC or I'm expecting XYZ. So if that is the case, right? So from this output, you can get it by using some notation called this one. Okay. So the elements will start with 0. So starts with 0. Okay, so that means split of this one comma 0. Comma 0 indicates out of your total splitted elements, the 0th element I'm expecting. So if I say 2, so that means your third element is expecting 0, 1, 2. Okay, so likewise. So here I'm having only 0 and 1. Maybe I'm expecting 0th element. Why? Because this is what I'm expecting, right? Job, EMP, orders. So that's how you will be writing your logic. Okay, so I'm coming back to this one and I'll create one more set variable to get my table name, to derive my table name. So this is my file name and this is my table name. So here table name and the logic is item dot name. And so here you have to specify split of this one with a dot, and you need to specify 0. After splitting of my name based on dot, I'm expecting 0th element. So that is nothing but your table name, job or orders, something like that. So with that, execute this. So now you will see what is your file name and what is your table name for each item. It will execute one by one. Why? Because we gave sequential. Okay, so here we give sequential so that it will execute one by one instance by another instance. So for the first time, if you see emp.txt and the corresponding table name will be emp. So same way for second iteration, it will be job.txt and your table name will become job. So file name orders.txt and table name will become orders. Okay. So that's what we have achieved so far, and the next target is derive table name from each file. Now I want to copy data from customer.txt into customer, maybe orders.txt to orders table, job.txt to job table, something like that. So before that, right, maybe let us add one more condition just to practice, just for practice. Suppose if my table already exists, I don't want to perform anything. Okay, that means out of this three, out of this three, assume that my job table is already existing in my database. If it exists, I don't want to perform copy. Okay, so if it is not exist, then only I want to copy my data from file to table. Okay, so I want to perform that. So to do that, right, maybe let me see what is the data inside job.txt so that we'll create one table. Maybe just replicate that and let us see that. It is something like we are replicating or we are simulating some use case to achieve that particular functionality. So that's what we are trying to do. So job.txt, let us create one table. So let us create the table in my database. Job table we'll be creating, and then we'll see whether that exists or not. Okay, so I'm just going to query editor. Schema and table. So you just need to look at that particular part. You understood, right? I'm just adding one more thing over here. If table already exists, no action. If it does not exist, then do copy. Copy into that particular tables. Contact customer. What happened? I don't know. Okay, so we were able to log into this. Maybe let me see if that particular table is available. So start from analytics schema dot job. So it is not there. Okay, I want to create the table. Okay, I want to create the table. So to create the table, definitely you need to do something like create table and then table name. Okay, and then you have to provide your field names, data type, nullable or not, all those things. Okay, so instead of that, right, I just will ask ChatGPT, can you give me create statement for table with two columns maybe job ID and job name. So it will give you create statement. So always use ChatGPT as much as possible. So it is just like create table job integer, and then the job name is this one. So affected rows is this one. So that means the table is created, but there is no data. So job ID and job name, but there is no data. It doesn't matter. I just for our practice purpose, we have created an empty table, and we are checking the same thing from your ADF now. Okay, so we were at this point earlier, so we were able to derive table name, file name, all those things. So let us do one thing. So maybe I want to check whether table exists or not. Okay, so how do you do that? Whether table exists or not? Which activity can I use? Which activity we can use? Maybe we have validate activity and as well as get metadata activity. So validate activity will tell you whether table or file exists, and even get metadata activity also will tell you whether that exists or not. We have exists property, right? So with that we can be able to find out. Maybe let me get metadata activity because this is easy to use. Get metadata activity. So what you have to do inside your DB table, inside your DB table data set, you have to see what is this. Maybe this DB table is talking about sales LT address. So for some practice purpose, I have used sales LT and address. So because of that, it is giving me something. Okay, so maybe I can change this, or I need to create a new data set. Okay, so let me create a new data set because if I change that, right, it will break somewhere. So wherever I have used that particular data set, so that will break. Okay, so that's why we need to parameterize basically. So if we parameterize, we no need to create a lot. So let me clone this DB table. Yeah, analytics schema. Okay, so at least let me do this time. Schema and table name. So two parameters. So here I can see, so simply I can use dynamic content and the schema name. And similarly for table name, I don't want to use hard coded. I'm using table name as a parameter. So I have done that. So it's a parameterized data set. Okay. So where I'm accepting schema and as well as table name as a parameters wherever I call that. So I'm calling from this particular one. So instead of this, I'm calling this one. So immediately you can see schema and table name. Schema maybe I'm saying analytics schema, and table name is dynamic. So every iteration, first time it is address, second time job, third time something else. So how do you get that from this particular set variable table name? So that you have to specify over here. So go to variables and you have to say table name. So that's what we have derived set. Okay. So then execute now. So one by one, we get it. Okay. Yeah. So what you have to do from this get metadata, right? You have to get some attributes, right? You have to derive. Maybe I'm interested only in the exists, whether that particular table exists or not. Just give me that information. That's all. Okay. So let it be and then execute this. And in your whole, right, if you see the way we are creating, so all this is just ingestion. You are not applying any transformation. You are not manipulating any data. You are just extracting the data, extracting the file list, and you are doing something, and you are loading that into somewhere else. Okay. Other than that, you are not performing any transformations. So that's how it is called ingestion tool. So if you see here now, right, get for one file name, table name. So what is the table name? EMP. So if you see get metadata, false. It is not exist. So false. So now table name is job and get metadata to strategic. Okay. Got it. Maybe that is still queued. Queued in the sense waiting for resource. And also if you see, right, file name, table name, all these are set variable activities. So for set variable activities, right, nothing is required. So IR is not required for those variables. So whichever way, whenever you are using some data set, whenever you are using some link service, then this IR is required. So whichever activity is connecting to some data set, right? So that time you can see this IR integration runtime. So it is done. Okay, so this one, it is false. And for table job, it should be true. So it should be true. Well, because it is available. We have created, right? So that's where you got true. And for the third one also, it will be false. Okay, so we are in this particular part. So we are, yeah. So to apply this, maybe if table already exists, I don't want to perform any action. If it does not, then you have to do something. So how do you do this? How do you check whether table exists or not? So that we got by using this get metadata activity. Okay, so from get metadata activity we got to know whether that particular table exists or not. So with that information, if it exists, I want to perform something. If it does not exist, I want to do something else. So how do you do that in ADF? So that will be done by using if activity, right? So inside the if activity, I'll check whether the table exists or not. If it exists, I want to perform something. If it does not, then I want to perform something else. So that's how you just connect to this get metadata to if activity. So inside the if activity, you have to write some condition. So what condition you want to write? If table exists, then I need to do something else, do something else. So just go to activities and here you just need to write activity outputs. So that is what you need to do, right? Activity outputs, and this is get metadata 2. So go to get metadata 2 and exists. Okay, so you no need to write anything like whether this is equals to true or whether this is equals to false. You no need to write that. Why? Because if you see the output, if you see if you see the output, right? What is the get metadata exists output, false or true? It is already true or false. You no need to compare this. If it is something, right? If it is the value of this is some ABC, then you have to write that particular logic to derive whether it is true or false. It is already true or false, then you no need to write any extra logic. So simply use that true or false so that you can be able to see that. Okay, so to understand whether this condition is working correct or not, maybe you can write something inside this and this, right? So for that, maybe just create some temporary variable, okay, just to check, just to test whether that is working or not. I'm just creating one test variable and I'm going to this, and inside the if I'm deriving set variable, and inside this set test, and maybe it is true. Okay, so since it is true, I'm just considering true, and I'm going inside false. I just copy pasted it, Control C, Control V, and I'm making it false. Okay, so just to understand whether that logic is working perfect or not, I just created one test variable. I'll remove that variable once I'm comfortable and I know that my logic is working perfect. Okay, just for the sake of testing purpose, I have created that. I'm just executing this. So now you just need to see your output one by one and how is that working? Is that working perfect or not? So that you need to see the output of each and every activity from your output. Okay. So the GUI is not so great. So that is one problem with ADF. Okay, so first time I got into this file name emp.txt, table name emp. This should be false, and if condition, inside if condition, it went to false. That is what our expectation. Okay, so that means it is working perfect. So next time when it go to okay, this is others. So when it goes to job, right? So when it goes to job, it should become true. Okay, for this one, it should become false. So that means my logic is working perfect. Okay, so now I'm going back here and for true. So here, right? If table already exists, I don't want to perform anything. So that means I don't want to write any logic over here. Okay, just remove this. If it is false, then that means if it does not exist, then I need to make some copy activity, meaning I need to copy from source to target. So that's what I need to perform over here. Okay, so just go back here and inside this false, I need to do copy. So copy data activity I'm just using here. Okay, I have not explained you what this activity is, but for our use case, I need to use this copy data activity. So at a high level, I'll tell you what is this copy data activity. But as I mentioned, so this is the major activity we'll be using across area of projects. Okay, so this will copy the data from one source to target. Source may be ADLS, Cosmos DB, anything, and target may be anything. So if you want to copy from some place to another place, then you will be using this copy data activity. Okay. So you just need to specify what is your source and what is your target. Target, we call it as sink. Okay. Sink is nothing but your target. So what is your source? Source is my ADLS. Okay. So I'm just checking whether it is pointing to proper container, proper ADLS, and you need to mention your file name. So what is your data set? So this data set is talking about TransUnion input. But where is our data? Our data is inside input and dim. Okay, so from there we are driving. So the entire use case, we started from this particular input dim. So that means you have to make this as dim. Okay, and file is anyway, it is parameterized, it is good, so that you can use this data set for our use case. So I'm coming back here, and what is your file name in that particular dim? So for each iteration, the file name will change. How do you track that particular changing file name? So that you are tracking from your variable. So inside the variable, we have created a variable name called file name. So for each iteration, your file name will be changing: customer.txt, orders.txt, job.txt, something like this. So just by using this, that means you are good to use this data set by passing this file name. So this file name, every time, this file name will become as source. And where do you want to store this particular file? So I want to store this particular file in my target. So the target is this sink, sorry, this data set. So this data set, okay. So where is your data set schema? This is my schema, this is schema. Okay. And what is your table name? So each time your table name should be changing. So the table name I'm storing in my variable called table name. So that's where I have mentioned. So all these things, right? So many options inside your source and inside your sink. So all those things we'll discuss in detail when you're discussing about copy data. So these are the major things, primary things you need to take care when you are using copy data activity. Source, you have to mention what is your data set, and as you are working on use case, right? So you have to take care of your data set properly. Okay, so you are using something and you are using get metadata activity, filter activity to apply something, and you are deriving something, and finally you are using something else. Okay, so you already got a link service and you have already created a data set, something like library building. So you know that building hold your AI book. You need to go to that particular building first floor and you need to grab that AI book. So that you know. But all of the sudden, if you are going to some XYZ building, definitely you will not be able to get that book, right? So same way, whatever use case is yours, so same way you have to derive your logic. Okay, so that's how you just need to think. So I have done with source and I've done with sync. Okay, I'm able to do that. So once this is done, okay, once this is done, I have to perform something else. So what is that? I have to delete my files. If it is successful, the copy is successful, I want to delete those files from my storage account. So I need to write that over here because once it is successful, right? So that means you are copying the data from file to table. So once that is done, so what will happen next time? This it will go to true because table will be existing and that will not come back to this particular else false part. Okay, so that is the reason I'm writing that delete logic as well over here. Okay, so to delete, we know that we have this activity, delete activity. So I'm just using this delete activity over here. And what you need to delete, I need to delete from this particular data set, from this particular data set. And what is your file name? My file name is file name variable. I need to delete it. Okay. And I don't want to log my uh, changes. Okay. I don't want to enable my logging. So I'm just simply ignoring it. So I've done that. That's all. So end to end, this is simple use case. It's not so great use case. Okay, so this is simple use case. I'm deriving the list of files, and then I'm filtering whatever the files is required for my processing based on my use case. I have filtered the required files list, and if I got 10, I want to do perform this same thing, same operation again and again for each file. So that is the reason I am using for each activity. And inside the for each, so inside the for each activity, where is this? Yeah, inside the for each activity, I am considering the filter output as input, and then inside the for each activity, what I'm doing, I'm deriving file name, I'm deriving table name. You should understand this, why I'm creating these variables, because I want to use this file name and table name across many other activities. So here I want to use that particular table name. So that's where I have to use this. Okay. So same way, if it is exists already, I don't want to perform anything. So that is the reason I have not written any logic inside my true of my if. If it is not present, that means the get metadata exists will give you false. So that will go into this particular false. And so here, what I'm trying to do, it is not required. So I'm doing copy from my source ADLS to target database. And once this is successful, then I'm going and I'm deleting that particular file from my ADLS. So this is the entire flow of our use case. I'm just executing now. Please do practice ADF. It is very simple tool, very simple tool, right? So it is just like this. If you practice for 2 3 days, everything will be as it is, same. Okay, so you don't need to put a lot of efforts there. But Databricks is different, so that will be having a lot of transformations and a lot of things we need to take care in ADF. So as I mentioned, if I say this one, it everything will be straightened. So everything will be in proper order. Yeah, it went to copy data as well. Let us see. It got failed. Okay. So copy data activity got failed because maybe what is the issue? Happened on sync side. So sync is nothing but your table. A database operation failed. Please search error to get more cannot access destination table. Okay, so EMP table does not exist, so it got failed. Of course, it will fail for other activity, other iteration as well. So it will fail for here as well. So since table does not exist. Okay, so now I'm going here into this copy data sync. So here, right, you have option. Okay, so forget about the remaining things. Okay, as I mentioned, we'll see that later. So table option, use existing auto create table. If it is existing, use the table. If it is not exist, create the table. So usually we'll not be having access to create the table, but just for our practice purpose, sometimes we'll be having access to create some temporary variables, not your actual target data warehousing tables. So it automatically creates a table if it's non-existent in your source schema, which is not supported when stored procedure is okay. So when you select the stored procedure, it will not you cannot use this auto create table. But for this case, we can create the table if it does not exist. So that's where I have selected this particular option instead of use existing. Now I'm executing this. Getting failures are good to learn. Okay, so let it fail. EMB. Maybe you need to rename this. Okay. So if you see get metadata one, get metadata two, you'll get confused. What is get metadata one? What is get metadata two? Something like that. Maybe you can rename get metadata for child items, something like that. Okay. And then maybe you can say GM and then what is this? Table edges. Get metadata, table edges. Okay. Something like that. Or table edges. Okay, so copy data is successful. So that means I have read this many records and inserted into my target. So this is maybe bytes. Okay, so these many rows. And once that is done, delete should happen. Delete is done. Okay, so what table or file, sorry, what file got deleted? So that will tell you over here. Okay, and now once everything is done, I can go to this one job. Anyway, it will not be having anything. Why? Because we are not loading anything inside the EMP. Definitely, you'll be having some data. So you'll be having some data, whatever you have created. Okay, so this is because we have not set data properly, like the first column as header. So if you mention that, right? So this EMP ID will become as your field name. Department ID will become as your field name. Okay, so since we have not done that, you are seeing your data something like this. Okay, so while you practice from your end, do that. Okay, so in your data set, while you are creating data set, create the data set as header, first record as header, so that you'll be seeing your data properly. So same way, we have orders as well. Orders is there, right? Orders. Orders got failed. I don't know why. Okay, so this is because IP address is not allowed to enable access. Okay, so this is not allowed. So while loading, uh, first time it got success, but this is not allowed. So what you need to do, right? So copy this. I'm just going here. Sometimes you will get this, but in your actual projects, you will not see this kind of errors. Why? Because there your infra team will set up everything in proper way. So here, sometimes it will not allow some IP addresses to perform some task. So that's what is happening over here. Okay, so just go to this particular server. So inside your database, when you're talking about database, you'll be having database and as well as server. So you have to go to this particular server, go to this server. Okay. So before that, right, I'm just showing you. So here emp.txt will be gone now. Why? Because emp table is successful. Emp.txt is gone. Why? Because it got deleted after successful. So I'm going to, what is the server name? So this is the server name. So go to this particular server and networking. So you have to make sure when you got this error, it has to allow that particular IP address. So whether it is allowing that IP address or not, let us check that. So selected networks and go here and check what is the IP address 2042.133.151. Maybe I'm just copying here. 2042 133 151. So that is not there. If you see here, right, it is 2042 3.0 and 132.250, but it is pointing to 133.51. Maybe just copy this and paste here. Maybe make it 250. So that means between this IP addresses 20.42.3.0 and between 133 to 250. So every IP address which is trying to connect to this particular one, it will do that. So that's what you have to perform inside this particular server. Now again executing this. So this time, since job and EMP both are edges, so that will not go to this one, to this part for both EMP and job. It has to execute only for others now. Sorry. Okay. I executed two times, right? Maybe 5 more minutes. I'll stop after 5 minutes. Oh, EMP itself is not there because it's already gone, right? It's not there in your container. So you'll be getting only two elements now. Only two, both are only job.txt and orders.txt. Get metadata, copy data. So for orders only, you'll be seeing this copy data. For this, you'll not be going into that one because it's not giving that if condition true. Okay, so now it is successful. Now we were able to load the data of orders as well. Okay, so if you go back here and now you will not see that orders as well now. Orders also gone. Okay, so that's how you will be designing and write your ADF. Okay, so what I will do is I'll just send this particular JSON to you guys. Okay, so you know, right, how do you uh, import into your ADF part? So just go here, just copy paste and you can create it just for your practice purpose. If you're stuck somewhere, maybe you can see that and you can execute it. Okay. So that's how this ADF pipelines will be. So whatever I'm trying to explain you, ingestion framework, right? So that will also be similar to this, but that will be having industry standard like ingestion framework, control table in driven framework. Okay, so if you understand this explanation, you will easily understand the ingestion framework as well. Okay, any questions for me? Okay, if not, yeah, I'll stop here and we'll connect tomorrow. Okay, with the next set of activities. Okay. Thank you so much.